Thanks, Father Doug, and thank you for inviting me to share my passion for the upcoming Synod in 2023 and Pope Francis' vision for the Church and the world. With this Synod, Pope Francis asks people of all faiths and no faith to share their thoughts, experiences, and insights on the role of the Church in our times. Never has a Pope made such a request, and tonight, with our Synod conversation, we will become part of this historic event. I thought we could begin with the spirit of the Synod, journeying together, which is what the word Synod means, then move to the structure of the Synod, where I'll share a brief history of Synods in the Church and how the Diocese of Antigonish has structured our Synod conversations and where they fit in the global process. Now, there we go. I'd like to begin with a quote from Let Us Dream, The Path to a Better Future by Pope Francis. My concern as Pope has to be to encourage such overflows within the Church by reinvigorating the ancient practice of synodality. He explains overflows are breakthroughs that come about as a gift in dialogue. When people trust each other and humbly seek the good work together and are willing to listen to each other in a mutual exchange of gifts. When a solution to an intractable problem comes in ways that are unexpected and unforeseen, the result of a new and greater creativity is released, as it were, from the outside. These are overflow moments. The spirit of this whole synodal process is to provide us with the practices necessary to birth this new and creative possibility in which deep listening, suspension of judgment, and respect for the other are essential. With these practices, we can be freed from the oppression of our polarized world, where complex concepts, ideas, and problems are overly simplified into being one side or the other, right or wrong, yes or no, good or bad. The rigidity of the either or gives way to the unexpected and unforeseen. The spirit, both small s and capital S, is freed, and a new possibility is created from the outside of the opposites. Sheila O'Handley, our diocesan hermit and participant here tonight, in her Lenten reflection entitled A Discerning Heart, talks about the significance of the circle in both religious traditions and various cultures throughout the world, which has bearing on our discussion. The circle implies no one has the edge on knowing. No one has the right answer. The answers, solutions, and informed knowledge are revealed through a consensus model of decision-making, not top-down and not the agenda of a few. Rather, a consensus of voices that become one voice in unison. The circle, symbolizing the divine life source, the primal wisdom source, is that which guides the participants to the will of the Spirit. Once again, we experience overflow moment when the consensus of voices becomes the voice guided by the Spirit. Otto Scharmer, in his book entitled Theory U, Leading from the Future as It Emerges, describes a process similar to synodality in the business world. In Theory U, the polarization of attitudes is broken down by possessing an open mind, an open heart, and open will, by letting go and letting come. The commonality between synodality, consensus decision-making, and Theory U rests in their attention to deep listening, letting go, and trust. Pope Francis' Synod on Synodality hinges on our ability to listen deeply, to let go of judgment, thus creating a space where the Spirit can enter and new life created. At this point, a brief history on the synods of the Church might be helpful. Synod or ecumenical council are terms that are interchangeable when referring to the first centuries of church history. The first councils or synods were introduced to resolve issues that a local bishop was not competent to handle. But soon they became gatherings of bishops which dealt with issues that concerned the entire church. These assemblies of bishops were referred to as councils until 1965, when Pope Paul VI created the Synod of Bishops. Inspired by the Second Vatican Council, he desired to permanently establish a special council of bishops with the aim of providing for the continuance after the council of the great abundance of benefits that we have been so happy to see flow to the Christian people during the time of the council as a result of our collaboration with bishops. He hoped to continue the discussions on the church and the modern world, which began with the Second Vatican Council. From October 1962 through December 1965, bishops from around the world discussed, dialogued, and fine-tuned a renewal of the church, leading to many reforms. The Synod of Bishops is permanent, even when it is not in session. Periodically, it holds assemblies, which are either general, if called to consider matters directly concerning the universal church, or special, if they are called for problems of a particular geographical area. Now let's take some time and look at the structure of the 2023 Synod of Bishops. In October 2021, Pope Francis called a Synod of Bishops on the topic for a synodal church, communion, participation, and mission. It has 3 phases. Phase 1, the diocesan phase, October 2021 to May 2022 in our diocese. Phase 2, continental phase, September 2022 to March 2023. And the 3rd phase, the universal phase, June 2023 to October 2023. The conversation we are hosting tonight is part of the diocesan phase. If there were a key word for the spirit of the Synod, it would be together. And a key word for the structure of the Synod, it would be listening, #listening church. The task of our diocese in the diocesan phase of the Synod is to listen to people as they share what they think about the church. Listening is more than hearing. It's drinking in what is said and pondering it in our hearts. It's that deep listening that comes when we suspend our bodies and make ourselves present to the person speaking. There will be many Synod conversations held over the next few months within parishes, organizations, and the broader community. People will be given the opportunity to be listened to as they share their comments in a safe and respectful environment. We gather to listen to each other and to learn from each other, not to debate issues. We are also encouraging you to be creative in how you engage in the Synod process. Videos, poems, a piece of music, or artwork would all be welcome. And there is also an online survey you can complete at www.anykanishdiocese.com/listeningchurch. Following each Synod conversation, a record of the comments only, no names, will be submitted to the diocese. From all the comments submitted, a 10-page document will be collated and sent to the Canadian Council of Catholic Bishops, joining documents from our other 53 dioceses in Canada. The continental phase, September 2022 to March 2023. The Canadian Conference of Catholic Bishops will then prepare a document from the submissions received from our 54 dioceses. The U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops will carry out the same process. A North American document will be prepared from the submissions from both countries. This document will be sent to the Secretariat in Rome, which will draft a document known as the Instrumentum Laboris, the first Instrumental Laboris. Then There will also be 6 other continental groupings sending documents to the Secretariat: Africa, Oceania, Asia, the Middle East, Latin America, and Europe. The third phase, the universal phase, from June 2023 to October 2023. The universal phase will see the 7 documents becoming one, the second instrumentum laborious, and the synod taking place in Rome in October 2023, when delegated bishops from around the world will gather to discuss, pray with, and discern the second instrumentum laboris, and share with the people of God the results of this process. And it is here where the hard work begins. The spirit of the synod will not end with the creation of an apostolic exhortation, the document that results from a synod. The people of God, with their leaders who guide us, are called to journey together in the challenging and essential work of bringing synodality into our structures and relationships, which can only benefit the church and our world. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. That was wonderful. And we're going to have that prayer at the very end.
Yes, and we can do the screen share at the very end, okay? So I'm just going to come out of that.
Okay.
My mouse is not mousing. It's not mousing at all tonight. Okay, over we go. Let's X out of that. And X out of that. Now, you can unshare my screen now, Father Doug.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. Thank you, Debbie, for leading us in the spirit of the Synod presentation. It was excellent. And now we're going to go to the next phase, which is all of us as a church, the body of Christ, listening to the young people, the young adults of Cape Breton University. And we're very grateful to have a number of them here today. And we're hoping to learn from you. And you might have heard me say at the beginning, there was a philosopher, Gabriel Marcel, and he used to say, by encountering the other, like each other, we can come to know the ultimate other, God. And so then we can sort of suspend judgment or critiques and to truly receive the other, whatever that may be. That's a gift, and it's a wonderful attitude we can develop and foster, so that it's through each other and receiving us that we come to know God. And so we're going to receive you young people's point of view tonight, and we will be passing them on to the official church on your behalf. And so I would like to begin tonight with our first student from Cape Breton University, Rose, and she is also the Newman Society house leader on the Esplanade. And so here we go, Rose. Is Rose with us? Okay, I don't see Rose. So I'm, okay.
Father Doug, can I just make a correction?
Sure.
Betty is the house leader, and Rose is yeah. And I don't know if is Rose with us. Does anybody know?
Sorry. Yeah,
Yes,
Betty, I'm
yes.
Yes, Betty, I'm sorry. I wrote the wrong name. Betty, you are up as the house leader. I apologize.
Yeah, it's okay. Sometimes. Hi, everyone. My name is Betty. I'm a student at Cape Breton. So I'm just presenting some differences between the churches in Canada and in my home country, India. So there are some differences I found, mainly in structural differences and in the Holy Mass and everything. there are a lot of similarities, but there are some differences too. So in case of structural, the structure of the church is almost similar with in India, in here too. And then compared to the Holy Mass, in India, the Mass, it should be lengthy, like it will be around 2 to 3 hours. But in here, it would be around 1 hour or 45 minutes. So I felt that's a big difference. And also in India, the Mass, there will be, our Mass include a lot of songs and everything. And we have a big choir team for that. It include about 5 to 6 people. And there is an extra man to play the musical instruments and some girls to sing the song and everything. So we will get it would be more beautiful. Like I saw here also there is, but I don't know, like I went to different churches, like 2 to 3 churches, and there I saw one man who is playing the musical instrument and he singing the song. So in India, compared to here, India it's like that. Like more people are involved in that. And also our prayers are in a tune, like in a different manner, like everything the Father says and we are giving the reply in a particular tone. Everything have a tone. So I think that would improve the, like, people, that will make a good surrounding. So everyone would involved in that will create a good experience. Then in our church, after finishing the Holy Mass, most of the church will provide a little treat to the people who came there. So we will come together and we will get a treat. It would not be a big one, but it will be a little one. It's just because of two concepts. One thing is that most of the masses will start in the early morning. So everybody come the early morning, they didn't eat anything. So just to give a little treat to them. And also it will help to, like during the treat, it will improve the relation between the community. So we can meet so many people and they will definitely go through some talks and everything. So that would improve the relation inside the community. I think that would be like in Canada, I didn't see like that. So that's one of the suggestion I can say, like it would be good. And in India, the church have an important role in everybody's life, like starting from the baptism to the funeral, everything, like if it is a marriage function, then some Easter, everything. Everybody have a role. Everybody life, there will be a good role. The church and the priest have a good role. So then also after the Holy Mass, every Sunday, our students, like our children, have a Bible class that is provided in the church after the Holy Mass. Like everybody have to study that, like the school, 1 to 12 grades we are offering. So we have to, they will teach something about Jesus that will increase the spiritual beliefs and everything to those children. And then another thing is that in India, we have a big feast. In every year, we have feast for the churches. And it will be a big celebration with lights and everything. And everyone come. It would be a gathering and everything. So Binsi will talk more about the feast and festivals, everything. So that all the things I saw, and yeah, that all the things I saw, the differences. And one more thing is in the structure, I felt like in India, we have cemeteries, which is near to the church. It should be in the church itself, but I didn't see any cemetery near to church here. I think it's separately Like cemeteries are in other place and church in some other places, but in India it's not like that. Every church have their own cemeteries in the church itself. So after finishing the mass, the family members can go and light some candles and pray for their lovely ones. So I saw these all differences compared to Canada. So that's all. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much, Betty. Those were meaningful, very meaningful suggestions. Thank you. And now I'd like to turn the floor over to Priyanka. Priyanka is from South Africa, and she's also a campus minister here at CBU and works with us to welcome students to chaplaincy. Priyanka, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. So the topic that I was going to present today is, sorry, let me just mute my phone. Is how the Catholic Church is addressing the environmental crisis. So I had a slideshow, but I think I can't share my screen.
Oh, I can open that for you. Yeah. Can you do it now? That's great. Yeah.
Okay, it's fine. I can present without the slides. Sorry about that. I'll just get right into it. So I wanted to talk about Catholic social teachings and then get into how the Catholic Church has been addressing the environmental crisis over the years and today. So with the Catholic social teachings, caring for creation and caring for the poor have been part of Catholic teachings since the beginning. But in recent years, Saint John Paul II, Pope Benedict the 16th, and especially Pope Francis have added a sense of urgency to their call for Catholics to act on climate change. Catholic teachings insist that climate change is a grave moral issue that threatens our commitments to protect human life, to realize peace, and to care for God's gift of creation. And the Catholic Church's leaders, such as the popes, have taken a strong stance on the issue, as I'll mention in the next topic. So the next topic is the Catholic Church and climate change. So I'm just going to give a few examples of over the years how the world leaders of the Catholic Church have taken a stance on climate change. So on the 1st of January in 1990, Pope John Paul II delivered his World Day of Peace message to Catholics around the world. He warned that world peace was threatened not only by arms, conflicts, and injustice, but by a lack of due respect for nature. Pope John Paul II also encouraged activism among Catholics towards environmental justice, and his 1990 message inspired later statements from the Church focusing on climate change. These include a pastoral statement in 1991 by the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops on Environmental Protection. Their statement emphasized that global climate change was about the future of God's creation and about protecting both the human environment and the natural environment. Pope Benedict the 16th has carried the Catholic Church's message forward in numerous speeches and writings. He advocated for progress at climate talks at the UN Conference on Sustainable Development, which was held in Brazil in, I think it was 2015. And our current Pope, Pope Francis, he gathered almost 40 faith leaders from across the world at the Vatican to sign a joint appeal calling to stick to pledges on global warming, carbon neutrality, and support for poorer nations to transition to clean energy. Today, the Catholic Church works to increase awareness about climate change and its risks among Catholics, educates individuals, churches, and other Catholic institutions about how to cut energy use and live more sustainably, and advocates support of legislative action by governments and organizations on climate change. So that was my portion of the presentation. So I hope that it inspires everyone to follow the Catholic Church's footsteps in trying to conserve our environment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Priyanka. That was wonderful. Well, I think given many of the nations that are at CBU, they've experienced climate change perhaps in more serious ways than we have here in Canada. And so we appreciate you bringing that to us as a South African. And now we're going to go to Binsi. And Binsi is from India, and she's also a member of the Newman Society. You're on mute there, dear.
Hi, everyone. So I'm going to talk a few about the celebration of feast, which I see the differences between my home country and here. So mainly every church will have a saint in with a particular name. So in my hometown, my home church is in the name of Saint Raphael. So we celebrate the festival in October every year on the 23rd and 24th. So it will be like before 1 month ahead, we will form committees with different people and will make arrangements for different things like decorations for the lights and what will be the arrangements like, and everyone will involve in that. Like there will be a children committee for the decoration purposes, and there will be a committee for the mothers or ladies, so they will prepare for the decorations in the church, and there will be committee for the males, they will arrange what all should be included. So basically everyone will take part, and we will start the mass 1 week ahead, with the flag hosting, and there will be holy mass and special novenas with for 9 days ahead, and also not only physically, we will also prepare spiritually for the festival. We will be taking fasting for 2 weeks ahead, and there will be retreat for 3 days to prepare us spiritually for the feast. So that all the things I see we should include everywhere, like every churches, so that the people can come together as so that there will be more sociable, and also to prepare the people spiritually, so that the distance between the people and the public will be less. Thank you.
Thank you, Binsi. Yes, I can recognize those feast days when I was in India, and you guys really know how to celebrate your feasts.
Yes, yes, Father. Physically, we should celebrate it physically and well as spiritually as well. So when I see the celebration here in for Christmas, like it's like a huge difference.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. You guys can teach us a lot how to incarnate our faith and our spirituality. You truly live it. So thank you. Okay. Wonderful, Vinci. And now we're going to go to Paul. And Paul is also a member of the Newman Society and lives at the Newman House, and he's from India. And just unmute. There we go.
Thank you, Father Doug. And I will speak a few words on Christianity during the first millennium and or us into the second millennium, and the major changes happened by it. So when I first searched about this topic, actually, before I say this, we are talking about events that happened over 2000 years. So I can't touch each and every important topics that happen because a lot of things happen. So I'm going to speak on a few most important ones. And first one is the authority. Back in the first millennium, or at least during the first 4 centuries after the death of Christ, the Bible was not regarded as the ultimate authority. The reason being that the Bible, as we know today, did not exist back then. What actually existed during that period was a list of canonical writings. And a list of canonical writings and some core books whose authority were not questioned. These were the Old Testament, the Gospels, and the letter of Saint Paul, Saint John, and the First Peter. These were the books that were used back then, and some other works were also used, but the authority of those works is not recognized by some churches. At least it was only recognized by some local churches. So the general principle was that it is the teaching and the practice of church rather than any written work that actually mattered during that period. And later, when we talk about the bishops, the status of bishops is something that is controversial even today. And because it is a topic of controversy between the Catholics and the Protestants, whether the early church included bishops and priests in the first millennium. The Catholics say that it did, and the Protestants say it did not. The reason for this difficulty is because of the ambiguity of the terms involved. The New Testament uses bishops interchangeably with pastor, steward, or elder. So the word bishop has several meanings, and it's basically on how it's used, the circumstance of where the word bishop is used. And the basis of authority of bishops is the idea of apostolic succession. The apostles appointed leaders in churches they founded. That is the 12 apostles appointed leaders in the churches which they founded. And these leaders are who we consider now to be bishops. I mean, their authority. The bishops met in council to settle disputes, and these meetings were called Synod. I think this was covered by Debbie during the first part of about the history of Synod. And what later happened, as something that I like to add here, is that Emperor Constantine converted to Christianity in 337 AD, And what happened was, after his conversion, the church or the religion got the first taste of power, political power, real political power over an entire empire. So what happened was bishops all over the empire started meeting together instead of a few bishops. So when bishops all over the empire met together, it was called a ecumenical council. It was not a synod, but a ecumenical council. And if we try to understand the first millennium of the church, a lot of things changed towards the end of the millennium, but at least during the first 5 centuries, we see that the church was highly decentralized. The authority of the Pope was much more limited, and so it can be viewed as a positive or a negative thing. And another thing that I have to stress on is the liturgical worship of the first millennium. The early Christian community participated in Jewish worship and followed some of the customs of Judaism, because and the break with Judaism happened, I think, around 3 decades later after the death of Christ. At least for the next 3 decades, the worship was intertwined with Jewish worship. Jewish practice of morning and evening prayer was followed. Jewish songs and hymns were also used by the church. And finally, I think perhaps the most important topic that should be discussed in the first millennium is the authority of the Pope. The reason being that although this started in the first millennium, the repercussions of this dispute on the authority of Pope reflected in the second millennium. So the history of Pope would be that Pope was actually the Bishop of Rome, but since Rome was the capital of the empire, the Bishop of Rome had a much more political power compared to other bishops. So during the debates of early centuries, position taken by the Bishop of Rome was actually something that ultimately prevailed over the positions of other bishops. And this authority was claimed by political importance rather than anything of faith. So Rome was considered as the most important political point, and then Constantinople, then Alexandria, Antioch, and Jerusalem. That was the order of political importance. And this way, the Bishop of Rome was considered as the supreme authority. And there were disagreements regarding this towards the end of the millennium, and it eventually caused the split of church into East and West, the East being called now as the Eastern Orthodox, the Orthodox Church, and the Catholic Church.
You got 30 seconds left, okay?
Yeah.
30 seconds.
And Christianity in the second millennium, it's a tricky period for the religion, because this is when the split happened. It is something that started in the first millennium, but in the beginning of the second millennium, the Orthodox and Catholic split happened. The decline of authority of the church started increasing after the Crusades, and the sack of Constantinople in 1453, and the lack of enthusiasm to retake the city shows how the priorities changed from faith to politics, because by that time the countries had bigger problems than the word of Lord. Although the missionary activities were spread during this period to Africa and Asia, the major reason for this spread was to make political gains rather than to spread the word of Lord, because these countries needed to keep the population under their control, and it was with this aim they decided to spread the word of Lord. And the means by which the word was spread was also questionable, because of the use of violence and the inquisition of states and countries during that period, especially by the Spain and the Portuguese. And one of the most positive thing that happened to the church during that period was the invention of print media, which were made Bible accessible to the poor.
Thank you, Paul. Anything else you want to end with?
No, nothing. That's the major events that happened.
I would like to listen to you even longer. That was amazing. And I think we can see how the church can fall into political power. And it's always that temptation, isn't it? And so we, whether it be a bishop, a pope, or a priest, they have to stay grounded and not allow that power to take over. So thank you very much. And we have Rabbi Ellis here with us, and he'll probably comment later on your comments about the Jewish influence in songs and prayers in the early church. So thank you for bringing that up. Now we're going to go to Shubi. Shubi is a campus minister from India, and she works with us here in chaplaincy.
Thank you so much, Father Doug. So it's my pleasure to be here and to share my thoughts on what church needs to do and what international students are facing here when we come here in Canada. So before I start, I would like to read a scripture, which is 1 Corinthians 13:13. That's the foundation I'm going to speak. So which 1 Corinthians 13:13 says, so now faith, hope, and love abide, these three, but the greatest of these is love. And the true example we can see is Jesus being crucified on the cross for us. What an everlasting and unconditional love he has shown to us. So I just want to add on that no matter where we come from, no matter we come from which country, which caste or creed, love is something which all human being needs. And that should be the foundation of our faith, and that should be the foundation of our churches as well. Without any judgment and without any discrimination, because judgment is not something which has been given to human being. It's a work of the Lord, and let he do what is his work. Our work is to love each other. So I strongly believe that church needs to take this very seriously and rub off all the judgments we have passed on and have been passing on to so many people for years and years, and create a kind of community or kind of environment wherein people feel loved. And when love flows from heart, the outside changes. Basically, the problem, I won't say problem, but the challenge as a church we are facing is we focus so much on the outside appearance of human being rather than heart of a human being. So taking care of, let's do the other way around. Let's focus on people's heart and then changing his appearances. So that's something, I strongly believe that this is something needs to be happened in the church, so that everybody who wants to attend church does not feel challenged. Oh, if I wear this, will I be accepted in the church? Oh, if I have a tattoo, will I be accepted in the church? Because these things are related to body, and body eventually will die. But what we really need to focus on is the heart of a person. Are we really having a heart to forgive? Are we really having a heart to lay our hands the way Jesus laid hands on lepers and pray for them? So this is something I really believe, that this is the time that we shake off everything else but just focus on love and accepting people the way they are, and rest all is the work of the Lord, not our work. At the same time, I also believe that the corporate should follow church, not church should follow corporate. It is now very much evident that church has gone to a corporate culture. It should be just the other way around, that corporate should be inviting church that, hey, we would love you guys to have a small session every weekdays or every weekends, so that our employees can connect to the Lord, and when they come back to Monday to Friday, when they are working, they are spiritually healthy. So instead of we bringing corporate culture in the church, the target should be church should be going to the corporate. That's what is my personal thought process. Also, would like to add, as I'm also an international student, and I'm supposed to talk on the challenges international students face and how church can be a helping hand to international students. Anyway, we are doing a wonderful job in CBU as a chaplaincy. I strongly believe that there are a lot of challenges which international student face. Is one, financials, because most of us have come from a countries wherein our currency is not as strong as Canadian currency. So something supportive could be arranged for students. Accommodation is a big problem. So maybe if we have, for example, let's take an example, if we have 200 Christian families in Sydney itself, let's encourage each of those families, hey, if you have a spare room, why don't you give this room to a Christian student? That will solve a lot of accommodation problem as well. And at the same time, the student will not feel lonely. If I am a Christian and I'm staying with a Christian family, and if I'm struggling with loneliness, I always have some or the other person beside me that will say, hey, don't worry, Jesus is with you, God is with you, it's just temporary, you will be fine. So I think a lot of toxic environment is there when students come and stay in a house wherein 20-30 people is staying, having just one washroom or two washroom. If we as a Christian come together and realize that, okay, we are a part of community, and as a community it is always good to share what we have, and in case if we have a spare room in our house, why don't we open for Christian students so they feel family? And second, last, I would like to encourage, if we can not only do activities once in a blue moon, but also do activities with a purpose. So suppose if we are doing one activity in a semester, but then if 20 people comes and then there is no contact, there is no touch with those people. So if we do activities for a purpose and being intentional, that would help international students to be connected to church. And this is how the transformation happens. It starts from one step. So that's what I just wanted to say. Whatever I felt, I shared that.
Wow, that was very powerful, Shubi.
Thank you so
Love, I mean, love makes the world go round. So I think you hit the nail right on the head. So thank you so much for touching all our hearts.
Thank you so much, Father.
And it's a good challenge to the CBRM to truly open our hearts to receive the international students. So thank you for that call and that invitation. So now we're going to go to Tabitha. Tabitha is from Nigeria, and she is a campus minister with CBU chaplaincy.
Hi everyone. Okay, so let's backtrack to when I was told to present on what should be changed in the church. Thinking about that, the first thing that came to my mind was on what we should change on ourselves, change about ourselves as individuals, because we make up the church. Now, most of us know the church is not like our physical being in a particular space or location, but we make up the church. We are the church. Our hearts, contents, and desires are what make up the church. And today I'd like to focus my talk on humility. As times are progressing, things are evolving, the church as well is evolving with times, trends, and things. And one thing we should always remember to go back to is humility. Most of the times we forget these things and tend to get on high horses and feel better than others, but when we put our focus on Christ and are completely and utterly dependent on him, we will act in humility and give other people the same grace with which God is giving us and the same love with which he uses his word to teach us. With this act of humility, we will encourage unity. Our world and our society and our church is more divided than it has ever been. It's extremely divided at this point right now. And as a church, we need to stand as a ground of unity and as a space where everyone could come together. And this stems from a place of humility. If we're not humble to bring ourselves to that point of welcoming everyone, we would scare people away. We would push people away from our community and being a part of this beautiful thing that God has allowed us to be a part of. We, at this day and age, have also been experiencing a lot of things, a lot of changes the church has been experiencing, and I would mention 3 of them in particular. And one would be the churches clinging on to traditions. There are certain traditions that we would say are religious and are, will I say, church formated. And a lot of times we have the church clinging on to these particular traditions where they aren't actually trying to listen to God's voice and God's directions, but strictly depending on how it has always been. Now, God speaks to us in different ways, and God communicates with us through different means. So if our utter and absolute dependence is on him and we seek him for everything in faith and humility, we will not cling to old traditions. We will not cling to certain religious, rules and regulations that we have in the past clinging on to. Another thing that the church is strongly being a part of is participating in a focus on fame. Now, this is a very funny aspect for me to be talking about because I handle the social and the technological aspects of the CBU chaplaincy. And something I've learned from the chaplaincy is fame is not important. A lot of churches seek fame. They depend on this fame. They use their social media representations as the base of their teachings. And that's not what the church should be about. The church should be about the word of God and us being God's representatives here on earth. And clinging on to social media or clinging on to fame or wanting to be known is not us acting in humility and is us diverting completely from what God wants us to do as a people and as a church. Finally, I'll be talking about us making the world our standard. The church a lot of the time follows standards, social standards that have been set up by our society as to what is good and bad. When we act in humility and put our utter dependence on God and listen to his voice, we wouldn't make the world our standard. We would make our standard God's standard. We would act in Christ's shoes. Now, acting in humility and acting in Christ's shoes means we're walking in his footsteps and we are following behind him, learning things from him. But when we turn our backs on that and make the world our standard, we will divert completely from what we're meant to and supposed to be doing, and we will tend to participate on worldly activities and the worldly influences that, will I say, extract us from dependent on God. Another thing that is a very big issue in our churches today is that our ministers of the gospel are beginning to make a church a grounds for political campaigns and competitions between themselves. I have mentioned before now that right now in this day and age, our world is more divided than it has ever been. And as a church, we should encourage unity from a humble standpoint. And when we have our leaders, our church leaders, being the promoters of turning the pulpit and turning the church into a political ground, that's a major problem that needs to be changed. So we as a people need to, like I said earlier, come down from our high horses and act as Christ did. I mean, Christ was a very evident example of humility in the church. He was the perfect depiction of humility. His acts of service to other people. And when I say humility, I'm not talking about you coming from a place of insecurity or timidity or inactivity. I mean, utter dependence on God and being active God's representatives on earth and depending totally on him and his word and what he teaches us. So yes, that's all I have to share with everyone today. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. There's a retreat in there, Tabitha, and I liked how you we talk about change in the church, because that's right. I did frame it that way, but you turned it and said, look, we need to change ourselves and we need to be humble. And humility is the key hinge virtue of the entire spiritual life. And you said so much. Thank you so much, Tabitha. It was beautiful. And now we are going to the CBU basketball player and shot put champion from the Bahamas, D'Angelo Woodside.
All right, good night. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
So like what I was gonna talk about tonight was like how can churches impact the young people of today. And so let me give you like my background of like, churches. So I grew up in church, was a Baptist church. So like obviously there's like different teachings and stuff like that, but similarities in some things, I would think. So I have a great understanding of God, who God is, and I serve God and stuff like that. So like, I'm not like I wouldn't say I'm like a huge person that that tries to God on everyone, but I try to get everyone to understand where I stand, you know, to help them understand, like, you know, God and stuff like that. If they ask, you know, I wouldn't try to force anyone, but, you know, like, I think in this day of time, a lot of young people, I think, know who God is, but I think most young people don't really understand God in per se. Like, you know, years back, you know, like, it was different for me because, like, I would say in Bahamas, so, like, I don't think I said that I'm from Bahamas, you know, and I also graduated. I went to the US for high school and junior high school. So, you know, I still was in church there too. But back to what I was saying, in Bahamas, you know, churches are everywhere, like almost on every corner. You know, I think everyone there, like, you know, goes to church and attend church, or like have been to church, you know, or have some understanding of church and who God is, like most people. But, you know, like, I would say young people of today, including me, don't really like see God how you should see him, because I think most young people don't really have a personal relationship with God, you know, because they don't really understand what it's all about, you know. And I was having a conversation with Brother Wendell, the church I go to here at Faith Baptist Church, about like the LGBTQ and stuff like that. And I was like, how we could more reach them in church and stuff like that, you know. And, you know, I was saying that it's different ways how you could reach people in church. You know, it isn't always about preaching hard and stuff like that. It's different ways about how you can just reach people in church and stuff like that. You know, everyone has different teachings, you know, and how they perceive the Bible, you know, how they put out the Bible. But it's always a way that you can like portray out the Bible for everyone to understand it better. You know, like I was saying that, you know, young people of today, like, they don't really know who God is, but not necessarily who God is, but, you know, I think most of them don't want to know, because they just see him as like a, you know, like, it's just a person, you know, and so they don't have like a clear understanding. But it's like when they come to, whenever you get them to come to church, you know, they don't really understand what's going on, or they're not tuned into what's going on. And so, at least for me, I always say this, you know, like, yeah, we should preach the same way, teach the same way and stuff like that, you know, whatever God lays on your heart at that time. But then I would understand it, because yes, I've been in church for so long, and most people who are in that church been in church for so long, but that person who just came to church doesn't understand it, you know, in the way as they should. So it's like, why can't you take that extra 5 minutes to explain more and to like get on a level where they could understand what you are trying to say, you know? It's not, I think in this day of time, it's not simple reaching people for Christ. It's not simple reaching people for God, you know, like how it was before. It's not as easy as it was before it is now today, because the world has changed like dramatically from then to now, you know. I've been in the Maritimes just about 4 years now, and I would say a lot of young people don't really like go to church like that. I think most churches has a lot of elderly people in there, has a lot of older people in there. So, I mean, it's sad to say, but that's just reality, you know. And why is that? You know, there's no correct way. There's no correct answer for it. You know, that's just how it is, you know. But I think that you could find a way to where you could reach them, you know. Like, I always just tell, you know, like, guys around here and stuff like that, you know, like, I don't ever try to force anyone to believe in God. You know, that's my thing. I don't ever try to force anyone to believe what I believe in. You know, everybody has their different beliefs in what they believe in. And my thing is, I feel as though you should respect what they believe in, regardless of what that is. You just got to respect it, you know. But I feel as though if someone is willing to listen, you know, like I just tell anyone, if they're willing to listen to what I have to say, then I'll help them, teach them, you know, help them understand where I'm coming from. And if they think it's wrong, then I'd be like, hey, this Bible says this, and then I help them understand what the Bible is and what it's all about, so they could get a better feel, a better understanding. Now, most of the time it doesn't work. Sometimes it do. You know, if you could reach 1 of the million, that's still a good job, you know? And so like, I feel as though the church in itself like has I wouldn't say adjust itself to people, but I'd say more understanding to the generation today. You know, it's actually not easy just reaching young people in today's society. You know, like students who in high school right now. It's not easy trying to reach them right now. You know, that's because all of them coming up with different mindset and how I wouldn't say how they raised, but it's just like they get their friends, they get technology, social media. When I was growing up at the time, social media wasn't as big, you know, like now, even back in 2013, you know, like iPhone wasn't like how it is now, you know, and stuff like that. And phones wasn't as high tech as it is now, but now it's like social media is like so big. And so it's like, it's hard to like keep everybody focused to like what's like actually happening in today's world, you know, in terms of like God and, you know, trying to reach them and trying to help them to understand like, hey, if you die, like where would you go? Like, you know, and stuff like that. You know, it's hard to like try to get them to understand, but it's ways you could reach them, because if you could just get on the level as them to help them understand that, hey, the Bible is about this, and God is this. God is like, you know, who created the world, you know, and stuff like that. If you could help them to just understand just some simple things, you know, and you could just start from like small, you know, not even like some huge, you know, because like it ain't that they don't know. They know certain things, but like they don't want to know. You know, it's because like, you know, and their friends and stuff like that, and what social media is saying up there, you know. So it's like kind of hard, but I mean, if we just keep teaching the same way, it's gonna be hard for them to like, you know what's going on. You know, I try to like, you know, have my devotions every day. And I ain't gonna lie, it's hard to have your devotions every day. Hard to like, it's not easy reading your Bible every day. It's not easy just getting up in the morning and praying every day. It's not easy before you go to bed, have a prayer with God. It sounds simple as it is, but it's definitely not easy, you know, and you try to have your devotions so you can stay ready for whatever comes your way, you know, whatever sinful nature comes your way, you try to like have your devotions, just have a clear mind, a clear thought, and just, you know, stay cleansed, you know, because every day as a human being, you need to just be cleansed, you know, from what's going on in today's society, you know, and, you know, that's my 2 cents of what I have to say.
Thank you so much, D'Angelo. I loved your witness of faith, and I know as a basketball player here at CBU, you have opportunities and on the track team to witness in maybe in ways others don't. So I thank you for your witness and for your wonderful example here on campus. And people not only look up to you on the inside, but physically they have to look up to you. This guy can slam a basketball pretty easy. Well, thank you very much. And now we're going to go to Rose, Ira Rose. Here we go. She's from India, and she is going to be, she works with us as well. She lives at the Newman House, and the floor is yours. You can't hear you, dear. Sorry, we cannot hear you yet. Can you unmute yourself? So she's having some audio problems. Can you speak? Let's just. Rose, can you speak, please? Okay, so Rose is having audio issues. Rose, we're gonna have to go to someone else because we can't hear you, dear. But if you could try and get that fixed, we have our last speaker before Rose, and it's Parsa. Parsa is a Muslim student, and she is from Bangladesh, and she's also on our chaplaincy team and as a campus minister, and we open the floor up to Parsa. If she's here. Okay. I just texted Parsa and she is not responding, so I'm not sure what happened there. Okay. I think we'll give one more chance to Rose. Area Rose. Speak now, dear. Okay. Well, look, that's fine. We're going to go to the next part, which is opening up the floor. I want to thank all the students for sharing such tremendous.
Hi, Father. I can give my laptop to Rob.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. So these students are part of the Newman Society House, so they all live together. And that's why she can give her laptop to Rose. This is the house Greg donated.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
I think there's some problem with my mic, that's why. So I just want to share my view, like how the Catholic Church can support the international students. As we all know, like the international students, like the main problem, like they follow is the accommodation problem. Like most of the students find it difficult to find the accommodation. So like it would be great, like the Catholic Church or the Catholic Society is offering like the accommodation for students who leave the home country, and it will be grateful for them if they are able to find a home, like a similar to home. So like the main problem is the accommodation. So that's the one thing I would like to bring in front of everyone. And the other thing is the job opportunities. Like most of the students struggle to find a new job when they reach a country like Canada or some other places like Canada. So like if we get a part-time job or something like in the university or something like that, it will be great to each and every students. And third thing I found is that like there are many charity representations like the Salvation Army and the Loaves and Fishes, like offering the free food and the basic supplies to like each and everyone, not only to international students, but like that's a great thing to everyone, because like when an international student or a not only international student, when a new student come to a place like this, like they struggle a lot to get the basic amenities like food and all. So like when these charitable societies are offering these types of amenities to all, that will be a great help for everyone. So like these three things are like these three things was like noticed by me. So like first thing is about accommodation, apart from the Christianity, like not only for the Christian students, like for everyone, like as like we are offered by the Newman Society, like we 5 students are like in the Greg McLeod house. Like this is a great asset for us, because like we have struggled a lot to find a better accommodation like in Sydney, but when we came to the Greg McLeod house, like it was so helpful to us, because like we build up a family here. So like the Greg McLeod house, like if the international students are finding a better place to stay, that will be a great boon to everyone. And the second thing is the job opportunities. Like now the students are finding a lot, like they're struggling a lot to find a job. So like when the university like gives an equal opportunity to everyone, so that like that will be a great help for students, uh, like for a part, like they will be able to get a job. That's all. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Rose. And thank you for acknowledging Father Greg McLeod's donation of his home, because, you know, accommodations are needed for people. And that's exactly, you know, Father Greg was ahead of his time. Here he is. And he knew that the students needed a home, needed places. So he's offered his home for free to the CBU students. And so we thank him for his gift.
Definitely.
To you guys. But we hear your point. We need more accommodations, and Shubi brought it up as well. Christians could possibly open their homes, their rooms, and let's see how that evolves. So thank you so much.
Like it's not only for the Christian students, like for everyone, like that will be a great help for each and every students, like who are struggling to find a new home.
Yes, because there's so many religions here now. So of course, all people, definitely. Thank you, dear.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Okay, and is Parsa with us? Is Parsa, there she is. Okay, I see Parsa.
Hello.
She said, yes, you're up, Parsa. Parsa's from Bangladesh, and she works on the chaplaincy team, welcoming students here to chaplaincy each week. And she's just a gem, and we thank you for being with us, Parsa.
No problem. I'm glad that I could be here with all of you. Today we are here, all of us are here to talk about how church can be helpful. I am a Muslim woman, and I actually don't have a lots of knowledge as all of you about Christianity, or like not a lots of knowledge about it, but since the day I have come to Canada, I have had many friends who follows Christianity, and I have seen that they are very nice and welcoming towards every other religion. I go to church, and like I know you, Father Doug, too. I'm very thankful that I got to know all of you and see how welcoming you all are towards every religion. Today I want to say that since church is very respectful towards every religion, and like when we go to CBU, we have a separate prayers for our prayer. We usually pray very personally, like we have to pray inside a room. So chaplaincy has provided us a separate room to pray. That helps us to pray in the middle of our classes, and we don't really skip the class prayers. We can always come down and pray and go back to our classes. And one thing that I think the church can do for us, church has provided a lot that's like beyond I can ask for, but what I think is that we have a thing that we fast for a whole month, that is a month of Ramadan, and we start the fast before the sun rises. As soon as the sun rises, we can't eat or drink anything, and we break our fast when the sun sets. So if there was a place where all of us could sit down and have our iftar together, that would be really nice for us, because we don't, after like the whole day of work and classes, we don't really get to have iftar with everyone. Usually back home, what we used to do is we used to have iftar with our family and friends together. Like we never, I don't, as for me, like I personally haven't seen anybody doing iftar by themselves, but like if we had an option where we could sit together, all of us, and could have our iftar together, that would be great. Like that would be really nice for us. And that in that way, everyone else will get to also know how we follow our, like how we do the iftar, and after like fasting the whole day, how delicious it is to eat the food and drink. Like we understand the importance as well. And everyone will get to understand that too with us. Not that iftar is not basically that we, all of us has to fast and then do the iftar. Doing iftar itself is also like we do it, eventually we call it sunnah. Doing iftar itself, like even like sitting with the person who is fasting and who is gonna break that person, like I'm fasting and I'm going to break my fast, and you are here sitting with me and giving me a company to eat my like iftar. That is like they call it, we call it sunnah. And when I was since I'm a Muslim woman, I have seen that back in like many years ago, people used to see Muslim women as a burden. They used to only stay as a housewives and cover themselves. But now, when I was very scared to come to Canada, to like I was very scared that if anybody will like judge me or will welcome me or not. But after coming here, I have seen that everyone is very much welcoming, and especially like I do sometimes go to church. I like to see, like I really like to go like attend all the religious festivals, and I like to see everything. So I do go to church and I see how welcoming church is, despite of what religion I follow and what culture I follow, even despite of the gender. So I personally think that church has done a lot for everyone. Church has done a lot for us, and that's all I could ask for. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Parsa. Thank you for sharing your experience. And I think you've really given us a challenge to learn from you and accompany you during Ramadan when you're fasting. And maybe chaplaincy can organize an event to have the big meal after sunset. And what did you call that? The term?
That is called iftar.
Iftar.
Yes.
Okay.
Iftar. I mean, if we had a space just to like sit together, like, you know, because back home we never had iftar at home, like not by myself. We used to have like the whole family and like everyone.
When does Ramadan start?
Ramadan starts from April. I believe it's from mid-April or beginning of April.
Okay, we'll do
it
something.
Depends on the moon, when the moon rises, like depending on the phases of moon.
Wow. Oh, that's nice. Well, we'd love to accompany you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And now I'd like to just open up the floor to anyone at large. And perhaps I could possibly invite someone who has joined us, Rabbi David Ellis, a friend from Halifax. And the Jewish tradition was named today, Rabbi. And maybe you'd like to share your own comments on how the church, the whole people of God, can navigate going forward.
Yes. Thank you, Father McDonald. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Wow, this is really something. All over the world, 4 or 5 different religions here, all mixing together and everything, all at Cape Breton, all in one place here. Yeah, we've got to do some things differently than they've been done in the past and that have been done in other lands. We shouldn't bring civil wars, religious hatreds, bigotry, and stuff that may have been in other lands. We shouldn't bring those here. In fact, we should be a place where we try to settle those things out. Maybe we can go back to some of those places. Things are right again. I include my own land in that also. Israel. So here's some way that maybe we should go back to Israel, get things a little bit more settled than they can over there, and they're all in the midst of the things in this. But
We're having
this
a hard
is
time hearing you. At times, we're having a hard time hearing you.
Okay. Now it's also slower. This is but it's a great get together, a great start of talking about things and getting to see and know one another. The Jews and the Catholics in the past century, we got to know one another. We read our scriptures a bit. We got to know, visit each other's synagogues and churches, and that the Pope visited Israel. We're kind of a long ways there. The other religions, we've got a ways to go. This is the goal of the 21st century. The young people here are beyond this journey here. And so I think this is what it's going to have to be done here. And I was impressed with your basketball player who was talking about, I don't know, he hit a hard nail from our community too. Some of our people have become so secular, and I'm afraid our community has surrogates for religion, sort of Israeli nationalism, Holocaust members, what those things are. Has to be a faith element in it in some sort of way, but our people are very much bereft of that. The prophet Amos said there's been a famine not of food or water, but of hearing of the words of the Lord. And I think that's the times we're in our community here. And so I don't even know what to do. I was talking to some people that there are some prospective people that are going to do differently. For many years, there's been a dearth of interest in anything with the scriptures, with theological sort of things. That's just not been on the radar for people for a long time. It's kind of devolved into a secular sort of thing, so an ethnic cult of some sort. And there is an element to that, but that's not all be all end all of it by any means. So that's what I'm inspired with this. I'm going to tell my few people are getting it together, not time to put things together.
Well, thank you, Rabbi. And if I may just add, Father Greg was a great friend of the Jewish community here. And it's my understanding that when they could not get a rabbi to come to Sydney, to the temple, they actually asked Father Greg to lead their prayer. So that just shows you how he accompanied them and the respect they had for each other.
Yeah. Father McDonald, you mentioned Catholic writers I know, Gabriel Marcel.
Yes.
And I don't know if you know this. Did you know that Gabriel Marcel had studied an American philosopher, Josiah Royce? He wrote a whole book on Josiah Royce. Josiah Royce is not a well-known person. He should be much better known. He was at Harvard University a little over 6 years ago. He has books on religion, the most simple books you possibly imagine. Anybody can read it. He has a book called The Sources of Religious Insight. He said, it doesn't matter who you are, if you have religion already, whatever it is, the person in the street, in the garden, the farm, wherever, everybody can have a religion. Here's how you do it. You have a goal in life. You have things you want to accomplish, no matter where you are, no matter what culture you're in. You have goals you're trying to achieve. Step one. Step two, you fail in those goals. They do not complete themselves. Things fall apart. You're there then. Whatever you want to be, whatever reason it is for them. You want to try to restore that back again. It doesn't have to be any specific religion. It could be just people in the street. It could be a bowling league. It could be a car group, a golf club. It could be any sort of thing. They get together in those things. What you do, what you fail to do, and you get a community together to help you. You get beyond the individual thing to a community helping you put things together. This is how he describes religion. That without, he calls it a church, but it's not referring to Christianity. But that's a great sort of thing to do wherever you are. You don't have to have a specific religion. Royce has a marvelous insight about that. But he has another book called The Philosophy of Loyalty. All of us are loyal to various things, to our family, to our country, to this. He says the test of things can be loyalty, to loyalty itself. In other words, get beyond the things, and not just your finite things, penultimate things, but get to the real basic things. Can be loyal to, and he gives examples what he means by that. So, but that's a good author to know about, having your thing. Good to read him. You probably have his books at university. Josiah Royce.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we're coming together. We're sort of doing synodality, tonight in some ways, right?
Yeah.
And leading to what he said, and who Gabriel Marcel also spoke of, encountering the other. Thank you so much.
Marcel was a French philosopher, and usually American philosophers are not known at that time. He noted, he must have visited Harvard, met him, something like that. He wrote a whole book on Josiah Royce.
Yes, I will.
Usual for European to do that at the time. But I've studied some of Royce's works, and he's a neglected person. His books are very much relevant to our day. Very simple to read, easy on the side to read. Yes, I think he was giving his lectures to everyday people in Harvard. There wasn't a class for managers to come in, the maids, the cleaner people, whatever it was. They would all kind of listen to his lectures. Harvard was more informal.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'd now like to open it up to anyone else who would like to share a comment or a question. We won't answer it, but you can at least ask it, and I will transcribe it and pass it on to the diocese. Just unmute yourself and
I was touched by every one of the presenters. I thought they did an absolutely beautiful job. And I made a little bit of an observation that young people have a story to tell, and it's up to us to provide a platform where they can tell that story. It's very interesting. When Bincy spoke, I think it was Bincy, she touched on something about they have a 3-day retreat. And I was wondering if she would talk a little bit about what that retreat would consist of, because maybe that's something that we could help to provide for all the international students here. I'd like to hear a little bit more about that, if she's still on us. Still with us?
Yes, Vinny, I'm still here.
Yeah.
Yeah, there will be a retreat as a preparation for the feast, and it will be for like all the age group. And it will be usually after the mass, like usually in my church it will be like the mass will start at 5 o'clock and it will be ending by 6:30, and from 6:30 to 10 there will be the retreat. So it will be mainly like mainly about the life of the saints and about the Bible and how should we prepare spiritually for the festival. That's the main thing. And as I told, it will be for 3 or 4 days. So 2 days it will be mainly as a class, and on the 3rd day there will be an adoration, and there will be special prayer for children, and yeah, kind of that. And there will be also confession and at the end of the retreat for everyone. And they will also tell like how should we prepare in the beginning days.
thank you. Thank you. Would anyone else like to ask a question or make a comment? Anyone else?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sister.
Well, I'm just very proud of all these men and women who really spoke tonight. And I'm so glad that I know every one of them. They are wonderful, wonderful people. And as far as religion is concerned, I've got to know all different religions, and it's marvelous just to sit down and let them tell you a little bit about themselves. They talk about home, they talk about how they express whatever religion they're following. And it's just like, I'm really proud of them. I know them, so it even touches my heart when I heard them speaking. So thank you very much.
So well said, Sister Catherine. It's really a privileged position that you and I and Rebecca are in to learn from these wonderful people from all over the world. So thank you. Anyone else?
I'd just like to say I was very inspired by their stories, and I was really glad that I was here to hear that tonight. And I was inspired by the gospel values of Jesus that each and every one of them shared, and that image of the cross, of that unconditional love. I really felt that acceptance for all people and that inclusiveness. I thought that was very refreshing to hear all that. And also, we'll take those points back, the challenges that you are also facing, the accommodations and the jobs and the space for that you need to come to gather. So it was good to be informed of those of your needs, and also the charity, the organizations, and to help you out in some of those needs. And we know going to university, it is costly, and especially coming from India and the difference with your currency. So maybe that's something we can bring back. So thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Yes, I would just like to say as well that it's all been very thought-provoking, and I'm very appreciative of everyone who participated, and I'm hoping that these are conversations that we'll continue to have. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Rebecca. And before we have the final prayer for the Synod, I would just like to give one more opportunity if there's anyone else who would like to say anything at all. Okay, well, thank you all so much for being with us tonight. It's truly an honor to sort of walk together like this. You know, synodality is a big word, but it basically just means holding hands. You know, we're in this together. We're on a journey, and we're we accompany each other. We hold hands together, and we get through it, right? And so that's what we're trying to do here tonight. And I truly sense the Spirit of God in this evening, and hopefully it can only grow and continue. And so with that, we'll have the closing prayer, the Diocesan Synod prayer led by our catechetical consultant for the diocese, Debbie Aker. You're on mute there. Okay.
Let's do that first. There we go. I'll put it up so we can read along. Oh, this terrible mouse. There we go. All right. Just take a moment to gather ourselves and reflect on all the wonderful stories and the deep sharing and just the enthusiasm of being in the presence of young people who have a connection to their faith and their ease in which they have shared it with us this evening. So this is the official prayer of the Synod. We stand before you, Holy Spirit, as we gather together in your name, with you alone to guide us. Make yourself at home in our hearts. Teach us the way we must go and how we are to pursue it. We are weak and sinful. Do not let us promote disorder. Do not let ignorance lead us down the wrong path, nor partiality influence our actions. Let us find in you our unity, so that we may journey together to eternal life and not stray from the way of truth and what is right. All this we ask of you, who are at work in every place and every time, in the communion of the Father and of the Son, forever and ever. Amen.
Thank you, Debbie. And I just wanted to let you know that this talk will be uploaded to the Newman Society Greg McLeod Lecture Series YouTube channel. So you just go onto YouTube and type in Greg McLeod Lecture Series and Newman Society, and it'll come right up. So you can let your friends know that they can watch this at any time in the future after it's uploaded, maybe by the weekend. And also, all of your comments are being transcribed and they will be sent to the diocese. We are listening to you. We want you to know that. So thank you, and God bless you all.
Thanks, Father Doug.
Bye-bye.
Okay, Father.
Night, everyone. Thanks, Debbie. Good
Night.
night.
Well done.